Today on First Cup, we've got another episode of Martial Arts Radio to talk about. I'll tell you all about my weekend, what's coming up today, and something pretty exciting in the development of whistlekick. So stick around. We roll in 15. I can't change that, can I? No, I could change it here. I don't want to. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Monday. I don't know why I had to look. December 6th, 2021. My name is Jeremy. This is my first cup of coffee. Oh, that's good. Good morning, Tommy, and good morning to all of you. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope whatever you did there was some fun and some whatever you needed it to be, but I hope there was at least a little bit of fun in there. Good morning, Stacy. My weekend was all the things it needed to be. I did a bunch of work around here. I can park in my garage again. Hooray! Boxed up a bunch more stuff and just dealing with all the estate stuff. And recorded a couple TikTok videos on Saturday. We'll talk about those a little more in a second. Good morning, Jenny. What changed on my sound? Well, there's a new camera. Is it better sound? I used it Friday. I think I did it on Friday. I'm curious what you're seeing with the sound. Nope, turn that bit. Nope, that one goes on. That one goes off. Here we go. Good morning, Dennis. Yeah, so garage, and then went and hung out with some friends Saturday night, drove back yesterday, did some more work around here. And it's a new week. It's a new week. I am a little bit of a headache. I think I'm dehydrated. I did not drink enough water yesterday, but we can fix that. I drank a ton already. Friday was a solid day. Had a meeting with someone who wants to see whistlekick grow. And we had a couple conversations. We've had conversations. This person's known of me, I guess, a few years. Originally bumped into them when I was making the rounds looking for investment. And so we're having a conversation, and I didn't realize he used to train, did 25 years of Aikido. So more or less the principles that we're talking about, he gets it. And he was encouraging me. Stacy says the audio sounds more hollow. Okay, well, I'm curious what other people think. Let me know. Here, let me make sure I've got the right. Is the audio coming through the right way? Good morning, Liz. That probably fixed it. I'll tell you why. Well, I was trying to set up a coffee cam. Josh sent over a webcam he wasn't using, and I thought it would be fun to test it, to set it up and have my coffee right under the webcam, but I can't use more than one camera at a time with StreamYard. So that was annoying. So no coffee cam. All right. So apparently the audio is better. Yay. That's good. All right. Okay. So I'm having this conversation with this guy on Friday, and he said something that I've talked about a little bit. Frank and I have had conversations. I've had conversations with a few people. I've even written myself notes on this. He's like, basically, you need to step up and be the face. You need to be God, I hate this word, the celebrity for the brand. And he made a really compelling argument. And he said, why aren't you doing, and he listed off a few things. And what it really came down to was still am afraid. I'm afraid of people judging me. I'm afraid of a whole bunch of things. but I'm not so afraid that I'm not going to do it. So what that means is for 2022, one of the big directives that we will have is I will go on tour. I will start touring and teaching seminars with my own unique brand of instruction and discussion and charging for it, which means I need a tour manager. So I'm looking for a tour manager. So if any of you want to be the tour manager, if you're not already doing something, let me know. There's a vision. I think this will work. I do. It forces me to do some things that I'm not yet comfortable with. That's a good thing. Anyway, moving on from that. Good morning, Eric. So I mentioned on Saturday, made a couple TikTok videos. There's this group of martial arts TikTokers who collaborated on a project. And the short of it was, hey, here's this martial arts skill. Can you meet this threshold? You know, the idea we're supposed to collect all 5 of their challenges. And the 2 that I did so far, let's just say there wasn't a problem in meeting their standard. So thank you, Kelly. Kelly says, awesome. I'll be first to invite you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, yeah. What else happened this weekend? Anything? What else happened Friday? Had coffee with a friend. It was a good weekend. It was a good balance of enjoyable and productive. I even watered my plants last night. They were very happy about that. Moving forward, what about today? Today, we've got a new episode of Martial Arts Radio. We'll talk about that in a second. And I have meetings all day. I know I say that often, but I really do have meetings all day. I think I have 7 meetings. Yeah, 6 of them with clients. I don't think I'm getting anything done other than having lunch and meetings. And that's fine. I actually like when they're all stacked together like that. Because going from meeting to having to think about how to do work, that's difficult. I don't really do that. I don't do that well. We've talked about my efficiency loss as I transition. By the way, that program, Motion, still awesome. Still highly recommended. Let's talk about today's episode. I'm going to try something new. Let's try it. I'm going to share my screen because I've been able to do this and I've just never done this. So today's episode 664 with Professor Juan Pablo Garcia. I think Ecuador's first BJJ black belt. Talks about wanting to get into martial arts, finds judo because can't find anything else, gets interested in BJJ, starts traveling, coming to the U.S. for competition, and it's a really interesting story. And for those of you who like, Jeremy, what is this page? This is whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. That's where we post this. You can play the episode. You can check out what we thought. You can get the transcript once it's up. Transcripts don't happen day of release. We're usually a few weeks behind on that because you got to finish the episode before you can do a transcript for the episode. This is how it works. Good morning, Andy. I would love to know from all of you who are here, what the highlight of your weekend was. I'm talking about me. I want to hear about you guys too. What did you do this weekend that was fun or productive or enjoyable or crazy or worth sharing? Whatever words you want to apply. Sound good to me. Okay. So we did that. we're going to start talking about the stuff you guys left me to talk about, because there are a number of things in there. And the first thing I want to say, we're going to use the share feature a bunch now. So Josh, when was this? This was last week. Last week, Josh posted a question about shoes, martial arts shoes. And so he's got a picture of the bottom of his martial arts shoes here. And those, if I am looking at them correctly, are Pumas. And it's funny, I did not recognize them as Pumas when I first looked at this image. And my initial thought was, you know what? These remind me of Puma driving shoes. I wonder if Josh would do well with Puma driving shoes. We used to have a Puma outlet nearby, and I remember looking at these shoes saying, you know, if they had just a little bit less of a heel for me, my knees do not do well with a heel. These might make decent martial arts shoes. So I'm curious if these work for him. There's no caption here, Josh. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. All right, coming back. Dennis says, Superfoot trading, my hip is not happy. Yikes. Liz says, we used our 3D printer for the first time. Cool. What did you print? Jenny says, I attempted to get a family of 6 to sit still long enough to take a group photo. How did that go? Andy says, went and saw a Christmas Carol play with my girlfriend. Nice. Sounds like all of you had some pretty good stuff this weekend. Next up, with things that you all talked about on the Facebook group. Daniel asks, the most important question you've ever been asked on First Cup is Die Hard a Christmas movie? All right. I find it interesting that people get so... It shouldn't surprise me, but people get wrapped up in whether or not Die Hard's a Christmas movie. If you were to ask me the elements of a Christmas movie, and I think if you were to ask the majority of people, what makes it for a Christmas movie? Well, it probably has to take place at Christmas time. It probably has to involve a miracle or something akin to a miracle. There should be extensive references to the holiday, the season, people, shopping for gifts, people dressed as Santa, elves, decorations, etc. And I think that the last bit, there should be, how do I want to phrase this? A little bit of a nostalgic element, or it should be easy to feel warm and childlike. I don't know if that's the best description, but when I think of Christmas movies, that's a big part. You get that part near the end where you're like, oh, okay. Now, I don't know that a Christmas movie has to have all of those, but it has to have most of those. Die Hard's kind of stretching it. It's a good movie. And I think that the main reason people argue about it being a Christmas movie is that people who like it and really want it to be a Christmas movie don't like other Christmas movies. They don't want to watch Miracle on 34th Street. They don't want to watch Elf. They don't want to watch, I don't even know what else. Oh, but Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Let's watch that. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And we've got some responses. Holy cow. Woo. All right. Stacy says Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Watches it every year on Christmas Eve. Daniel's watching it next Sunday at the cinema. Jenny says Four Brothers is a Thanksgiving movie for the same reason that Die Hard is absolutely a Christmas movie. Then it says, Stacy, it's not Christmas season until you watch Die Hard. Yippee-ki-yay. Liz says, I love that movie, one of my favorites. Daniel, it's not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls from Nakatomi Plaza. Tommy, I watch it every Christmas season. It's a Christmas tradition for me, but not a Christmas movie. I think that is probably the best way to think of it. We can eat cookies. You can have cookies that aren't Christmas cookies, but they can still be part of a Christmas tradition. You can have traditions that are not explicitly Christmas traditions around Christmas. People seem to be agreeing. All right. Let's see. Frank's stuff is up next. Yesterday was International Ninja Day. Here's some information from daysoftheyear.com. History of International Ninja Day. To truly understand the history of International Ninja Day, one must first understand the history of the ninja. The original ninja were warriors of the Iga Province of Japan during the Sengoku period. These warriors were raised up from the basic people of the countryside without access to proper armor, weapons, or training to use them. They had very little to rely on other than their own skills and abilities, and a few key weapons that were small enough to tuck into a large sleeve or a belt. Perhaps this is why so many of the weapons of the ninja are drawn from agricultural roots, such as the kunai and sickles, because they were also weapons that disguise themselves. This allows them to make it seem that it was just a humble farmer working in his field instead of the true infiltration-focused assassin. The traditional black clothing of the ninja actually came about as a result of how ninja were represented in theater. Being the everyday people of their province, they were invisible to the ruling class. They could not be identified by their clothing or weapons, banner, or nationality. They were simply the average people of their country and, therefore, basically invisible. And Josh has a bit that we'll tack on in a moment. I think the idea of ninja is fascinating. And I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if it's still going, but there were articles going around for a couple of years that Japan was short on ninjas, and that if you were willing to move there, they would pay you to be a ninja. And I can't even tell you how many times I got tagged related to that article when it got shared. Everybody seemed to want me to move to Japan and become a ninja. Jenny says, yesterday was Ninja Day? I had no idea. I didn't see any ninjas. Maybe we should have had a celebration. This reminds me, I had a friend in college who really wanted to host a mime festival on campus, but not actually host the mime festival. He was going to put 100% of the money into the marketing budget, and the mimes would just show up and walk around campus and just look for the mime festival. And people would wonder why all of a sudden on this particular day did tens or hundreds or maybe even thousands of mimes show up on campus. Would have been great. And if you knew Bill, this was just one of many beautifully ridiculous ideas that came out of his mind. Jenny says, we can mark it on the calendar for next year. I think we should. Daniel says, I had a friend who hosted a mime festival. Nobody heard about it. That's a good one. So Josh's add-on here, he says, to add to Frank's comment, the black ninja garb shown in movies and books was probably actually the uniform of play stagehands, NOH, play stagehands, who were intended to be invisible to the audience, both in terms of appearance and culturally. The audience understood that the folks in black were just moving stuff around on stage and not part of the story. So, when ninja stories were done on stage, all the ninja had to do was don the same black costume as the stagehands to depict invisibility without any formal exposition. Contrast that to the likely reality of medieval Japan when, just like today, someone in all black and a mask running around would probably arouse suspicion and be seen as up to no good. Bringing you the important discussions here on First Cup, and maybe with a little bit of education in the mix. I think we all want to be ninjas at some point. Even if we didn't do martial arts, I think we all had this desire to lurk in the shadows and only be seen when we wanted to be. And I think there was a power element to it. It felt powerful. The idea that you could just come out of nowhere and just be superior in battle. Pretty compelling. We've had a few folks on the show who have trained ninjutsu, some famous for training ninjutsu. We have at least one more coming who is famous for training ninjutsu. And I don't know, I think it's one of those universal martial arts perceptions that goes even beyond those of us who train. I don't know, ninjas are cool. Ninjas are just cool. Daniel says, "Oh, I don't know. You can get away with a mask at least these days." Good morning, Mark. Yeah, you really could. What would you need to do? You know what? Masks plus winter clothing is basically being a ninja. You wear like a balaclava, and I mean, I see people wearing them. You wear one outside with the hat part up. Yeah. Daniel asks, did you ever play Tentu Stealth Assassin on the PlayStation? I did not. Jenny's asking, ninjas versus pirates? I think I'd rather be a pirate. Pirates seem like they have more fun. Tommy, I went to a few Stephen Hayes seminars way back when. Definitely fun and decent training. He's been on the show. Actually, I'm going to see Stephen most likely end of January when we'll be going. And I say we because I won't be the only one this time. But when I go to Atlantic City for Alan Goldberg's event, end of January, Stephen's usually there. And we're currently figuring out right now what we're going to do as whistlekick while we're there. And by we, I mean it's in my head right now, and I will externalize that to some other people soon. Apparently, Tentu Stealth Assassin was kind of like Assassin's Creed, but better. Tommy says pirates all day. Daniel says pirates, the grog, and singing and wenches seems much more fun. I guess it depends on which side of the wenches you're on. There's a discussion about willingness, I think, in there. We're not going down that road. See, I look outside now, we've been talking about ninjas, and I'm looking outside and thinking, how hard would it be for someone to dress in all black or camouflage and hide in the trees and watch me and come down this line and sneak up to the door and then pop out right there? It'd be very easy. If there was a way to practice that skill without getting shot, I would do that. I would definitely get shot and probably arrested and have a lot of restraining orders. But it would be an interesting skill. How close can you get to other people without them knowing? How do you blend in? There are a bunch of movies that incorporate these principles, not necessarily as ninjas, but just the idea of blending in. And I find that concept fascinating. I've never been someone who wanted to blend in. I don't think I've ever really blended in. And that's fine. I am who I am. But there are other people that nobody ever notices. And they just kind of go through life and do their thing, and nobody knows who they are. And I find that interesting. It would be neat to know what that was like for, I don't know, a little while, a few days, a few weeks. What would that allow me to do? I don't know. I could find out. Dennis says, Tommy Stephen Hayes is a great guy. He taught at Karate College at least once that I remember. Fun seminar and a very good teacher. Cool. He was very gracious on the show, a very good speaker. And fun fact about that episode, Jared had an interview on Martial Thoughts with Anshu Hayes that released like within a couple of days. We didn't know ahead of time. He didn't tell us ahead of time, but we dropped the episode at the same time. It was really funny. It was like, oh, you talked to Stephen Hayes. Oh, you talked to Stephen Hayes. He's written a bunch of books. If you don't know who he is, check out the episode. It's a very, very, if you like stories, everybody we have on the show is good at telling their story because it's their story. Stephen Hayes is good at telling stories. And his episode is very much story. And I don't mean that in a I'm not saying that what he's saying is or is not true, because I don't say that about anybody. I actually don't have an opinion about him in that way. But the way he presents it, his tone, all of it, he tells a good story. And Jenny's reminding me, there's a book version of the Stephen Hayes episode. We take some of those episodes and take the transcripts and clean them up, and we make a book. And there's a book of the Stephen Hayes episode. So if you like reading and maybe want to highlight things or bookmark things, which is kind of tough to do in audio, you could do that with the Stephen Hayes book. Speaking of books, this thing's going nuts. If you have a copy, thank you. If you haven't left a review yet, please do. Please, seriously. Here's the short of it. Last I looked, we had like 5 or 6 reviews. We need 25 reviews. That's like the point where Amazon's algorithm actually says, okay, we're going to show your book to people. Please, please. We've sold more than 25 copies. If I can get everybody who bought a book to leave a review, you know, my hardcover should be coming sometime. I don't know why I bought a hardcover, but I did. If you're going to write a book and it's available in hardcover, you should probably have a copy yourself. I don't know, put it on the shelf. Maybe I'll impress people. Look at this book I wrote. Daniel left his review a couple of days ago. Thank you so much. Jenny's confirming. Well, all right. I think it's time to go. I think we covered everything. Thanks for joining me. If you're watching later or listening later, I appreciate you. If you're watching live, thanks for joining. Thanks for making the chat fun. You guys are doing a great job, not only talking to me, but talking to each other. We have a good time here on First Cup. And if you ever get the chance to join live, I hope you will take it. There are people that I know wake up early just for First Cup. And I think that that's super cool. I'm one of them. I would not be out of bed yet. But that's why I do it. It gets me out of bed. Great start to the day. I think so much more clearly because of this show. I had a chance to hang out with some friends. If you want to support what we do, remember we've got the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick, and the code FirstCup15 at whistlekick.com. By the way, look for a coming announcement about a small adjustment in the top 2 tiers of the Patreon as we shift one of the benefits to a mastermind, a martial arts mastermind for school owners. Yeah, that's coming. And if you're like, oh, Jeremy, what's a mastermind? Look it up or wait. Jeremy, is that a good value? Go look up how much it costs monthly to be part of a mastermind in any subject. Yep. And if you've got stuff for me for tomorrow, leave it at the Facebook group, facebook.com/firstcupofjeremy. If you're not on Facebook, well, then you could email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com, and then put First Cup in the subject or something like that. I hope you guys have a great day. Look at all these comments coming in. You're still all talking. Look at all this. Look at all this. Okay. Wow. Wow. And Daniel has the best comment to end on. So, of course, it'll be good value. It's whistlekick. Thank you. And thank you for understanding that. That is one of the number one things that we strive for. I don't claim that everything we ever do is going to be the best, but I am hell-bent on making sure it is the best value. Okay. You all take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a fantastic Monday. Be well. Peace.